Hello everyone, this is Rekha Venkateshwarlu, Assistant Professor of Physics, Government Degree College, Women, Nalgonda. Hmm. Today now I am going to discuss about the topic applications of the Gauss law. This is BSc Physics final year, 5th semester syllabus electromagnetic theory. The plan of my talk is as follows. The first electric flux and its concept, then the Gauss law applications, the first one linear charge distribution, then after we will see the surface charge distribution and volume charge distribution. For each one, we will discuss one example. Okay. Uh, Lastly, we will see the summary of this content. Yes. So before start of this lecture, let us repeat the concept of the statement of Gauss law. So this is the charge Q, right? I'm considering a closed surface around the charge Q. Then the electric flux coming out through this closed surface is given by closed integral E bar dot ds bar is equal to 1 by epsilon naught times to the net charge linked with that closed surface, where Q is the charge enclosed by that surface. This is the statement of Gauss law we discussed in the last class. Right. In the present lecture, we are applying this Gauss law for calculation of the electric field strength in the different cases. Let us see one by one. Now, the first field strength due to the point charge. Electric field strength due to a point charge. Point charge. Okay. Yes. For this, say consider the same figure. This is the cube. Okay. Around this, I am considering this closed surface, spherical surface or radius. Now, just you consider the small area element. It is a ds, area element ds. Now, the direction of field strength at that point is E bar, which is perpendicular to the surface. So therefore, the area vector ds bar direction n cap, it is also parallel to E bar. Right? What I'm saying, a charge Q. About that, I'm considering a closed spherical surface with the radius r. If you consider the small area element ds on its surface, the direction of area element is n cap, where n cap is perpendicular to the surface, hence where E bar is parallel to n cap. N cap is nothing but what? The direction of area vector. ds bar equal to ds into n cap. ds magnitude of the small area element. So angle between E bar and n cap is equal to here 0 degree. Okay. Then if you consider the dot product of E bar and ds bar, E bar dot ds bar equal to E ds cos 0. That equals to E into ds. Right? Now, E into ds. According to Gauss law, the net flux through that closed surface is equal to closed integral E bar dot ds bar, that equal closed integral E ds. But on the spherical surface, field strength at every point remains constant. Hence, since E is constant, you write E outside, closed integral ds. This is equal to what? That equals to, according to Gauss law, this flux is equal to 1 by epsilon naught times to the charge enclosed by that surface, Q by epsilon naught. So now E into closed integral ds is equal Q by epsilon naught. Integral of closed integral ds. So summing all the area elements, that gives the total surface area of the sphere. E into, that is 4 pi r square equal to Q by epsilon naught. Okay. So from this, E is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q by r square. This is the field strength due to the point charge q at the distance r from it. So vectorially, we can write it as E bar is equals to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q by r square into r cap, or you can write q by r cube into r bar, where r cap is the unit vector along r bar, or the direction of electric field strength r cap indicates that one. Okay. So in this case, simply by using the Gauss law, we derive the electric field strength due to a point charge at some distance r. Okay. So next, let us go for the second concept, right? Let us go for second concept. Now let us see the second application of the Gauss law. How to find electric field strength due to a linear charge distribution. Electric field strength due to a linear charge distribution. Linear charge distribution. So for this, I am taking the example uniformly charged infinite length of wire. This is the infinite length of wire. Okay. This is uniformly charged with the charge density lambda. What is lambda? Lambda is nothing but charge per unit length. Charge per unit length, Q by L. It's a unit, you can write that is charge coulomb by meter. So unit is coulomb per meter, right? Now, to calculate at a point P at the perpendicular distance R from this wire, now I am considering a cylindrical Gaussian surface like this. Cylindrical Gaussian surface like this. Okay. So here the point P is on the curved surface at the distance R from the axis of the cylinder or from the wire at the distance R. So now here you can observe three regions. This is the region 1. It is the region 2. The curved surface is the third region. Okay. Let us calculate the flux through each surface. So here, what is the direction of electric field strength at this point? Because this is the positive charge, the lines of force will be perpendicular to this in this direction. E bar direction will be like this. Okay. Coming to the region 1, the first region 1, for a region 1, this is the area elements. The direction of this area element is perpendicular to that surface, n cap direction, ds bar direction. Similarly, here also, the direction of area element, that is n cap, perpendicular to E bar. E bar direction is in this direction. N cap direction here, it is perpendicular to this E bar. So for the region 1, area vector ds bar is perpendicular to E bar. Similarly, for the region 2 also, ds bar perpendicular to E bar. So then what is the angle between ds bar and E bar here? 90 degrees, right? Then flux through that surfaces E bar dot ds bar is equals to E ds cos 90. E ds cos 90. That equals to 0. So there will be no flux through the region 1 and region 2. So therefore, the net flux only through this curved surface, cylinder curved surface, that is the region 3. In the case of region 3, for a region 3, it is very clear that E bar direction is like this, right? If you consider a small area element on the curved surface, this one, so then the area vector is always perpendicular to the area. So n cap direction is perpendicular to this area element. So it is very clear that here A bar is parallel to the direction of area vector ds bar or n cap direction. N cap denotes that. N cap the direction of area element. Okay. So now the flux E bar dot ds bar through the curved surface is given by E ds cos 0, that equal to E into ds. Okay. Through this represents what? The flux through the small area element ds. But we have to calculate the flux through the total curved surface, this total curved surface. Then by using the Gauss law, simply the total flux through the curved surface for the region 3 is given by surface integral E bar dot ds bar, the total flux through the total curved surface integral E bar dot ds bar equal to Q by epsilon naught. This is the statement of Gauss law. But here we got E bar dot ds bar equal to E ds, that equal to Q by epsilon naught. Right? E is constant here, right outside of the integral, because uh, all the points on the curved surface are at the equal distances. Therefore, here E is constant. Okay. E right outside of the integral. Right. Then E into closed integral ds equals to Q by epsilon naught. E, the total surface area of the cylinder, how much? 2 pi RL, where L is the length of this cylinder, right? Equals to Q by epsilon naught. Okay. So from this, E is equal to Q by 2 pi epsilon naught, RL. But we have lambda is equal to Q by L. So here Q by L equal is substitute to lambda. Then the formula or expression for E is given by lambda by 2 pi epsilon naught R. This is the required expression for electric field strength due to a linear charge distribution in the case of uniformly charged infinite length of a wire. Vectorially, we can write it as E bar is equals to lambda by 2 pi epsilon naught R into R cap, where R cap is the unit vector. R cap is the unit vector in the direction of R bar. Okay. So in the present discussion, so what we done? So by using the Gauss law, simply we calculate the electric field strength due to the uniformly charged infinite length of your wire. Right. Let us go for next application. The third application is electric field strength due to infinite non-conducting sheet. Infinite non-conducting plane of sheet of the charge. Okay, let us see this application, how to calculate the field strength using the Gauss law. So for that, you consider this diagram. This is a uniformly charged non-conducting plane sheet. Okay, so that the charge is forming like this, right? So here the charge density sigma equal to charge per unit area Q by A. From this, the total charge on the plane sheet is given by sigma into A, where A is the total surface area. If we consider it as S, then Q is equal to sigma into S. S is the total surface area, right? So my intention is I have to calculate the field strength at a point, this point, something point P, okay, where it is very near to this plane sheet. So for that, now I considered a Gaussian surface like this. Gaussian surface like this. Okay, where the point P lies on the Gaussian surface. Right, sir. So if you observe this, this is one region 1 say. it is the circular region 2. Now here the chord surface region, right side of the plane sheet, third region, left side of the plane sheet, chord surface region 4. So there exist 4 regions. We have to calculate the individual flux through region 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. Actually, if you observe the electric field strength regarding this case, so that can be shown like this. This is the infinite charged plane sheet. Simply, I am reducing the size. Okay. You know that for positive charge, the lines of force are always outward. Here, the lines of force are normally outwards like this. Electric lines of force direction like this. So left side also, the lines of force are normally left side. That is perpendicular to the plane sheet. Okay, E bar direction. Right side of the sheet, the E bar direction is normally outside. Left side perpendicular to the sheet, left side. So we consider here, but we consider here Gaussian surface like this. This is the, I consider the Gaussian surface. Okay, cylindrical Gaussian surface with two ends. This is the region 1. It is the region 2. Okay, this chord surface region right side third. This chord surface region 4. It is very clear at the region 1 E bar direction is like this. Okay, this is the area element. Area, small area is the vector quantity. We know that. Big area is not a vector, that is scalar. Very small infinitesimal area element is a vector. The direction of area vector is always perpendicular to this surface. ds bar direction like this. So here E bar and ds bar are in the same direction, parallel. Angle between E bar ds bar is 0. Similarly, here also E bar direction is like this, and area vector ds bar direction also left side. They are parallel here. Okay. But coming to the chord surface regions 3rd and 4th, E bar direction is in this one. If you consider a small area element like this, then the direction of unit vector, outward normal unit vector, that is the ds bar direction, is perpendicular to E bar. Okay. Regarding the region 3 and 4, ds bar perpendicular to E bar. Therefore, E bar dot ds bar will become 0 for the region 3 and 0. That means there will be no flow of flux through the region 3 and 4. Only the flux will come out through this region 1, right side. Here the flux will come out through the region 2, left side. Right. The total flux is equal to, the total flux is given by E bar dot ds bar is equals to flux through the region 1, E bar dot ds bar, E bar dot ds bar, plus the flux through the region 2, E bar dot ds bar. Okay, E bar dot ds bar. Right. Now, E bar dot ds bar here, the first case for the region 1, E bar dot ds bar equal to EDS. It is EDS, closed integral, region 1. It is closed integral EDS. E is constant right outside. Integral of ds is what? Integral of ds is the total surface area of this circular surface, ES. Okay, plus this is also E into S, ES, equal to, that equals to 2ES, 2ES. Okay, but from Gauss law, closed integral E bar dot ds bar is equals to Q by epsilon naught. Okay, now from these two equations, we can write 2ES is equal to Q by epsilon naught, right? Then E is equal Q by 2 E is equal to Q by, what we get? Q by 2 epsilon naught S. But Q by S is the surface charge density sigma. Sigma by 2 epsilon naught, right? So finally, we got E is equal to sigma by 2 epsilon naught. This is the electric field strength due to a infinite plane sheet of charge at a near point P. So at the left side or left side, if you consider any point, at that point, the field strength E bar is equals to sigma by 2 epsilon naught, right? So here the direction is radially out, this is perpendicular normal to the sheet outward direction. If you consider the point here, the direction will be like this, okay? If it is a positive charge, like this. If the plane sheet is negatively charged, then the direction of E bar will be perpendicular to the sheet inward direction. Here also perpendicular to the plane sheet inward direction. So in this way, simply we can derive the expression for the field strength of charge infinite plane sheet using the Gauss law. Okay, coming to the, yeah. Now, let us see the next application, that is electric field strength, finding electric field strength due to infinite conducting sheet, infinite conducting sheet. Okay, so for this, I am drawing this figure. This is uniformly charged infinite conducting sheet, positively charged. Now I consider 3 points. Point 1 P1 left side of the sheet, point 2 P2 right side of the sheet, the third point inside the sheet P3. Okay. So here in the case of conducting sheet, you should remember that charge always resides on its surface only, not inside. So here left side of the surface, you will observe the charge, right side of the sheet will observe the charge. Charge accumulates. Charge resides on its surface only, left side and right side, right? So to calculate the electric field strength, so this can be considered as, this is equivalent to the combination of two non-conducting sheets. This is the key point. Combination of two non-conducting sheets. Non-conducting sheets. Okay. So you can consider it as, this is one non-conducting sheet. This is another non-conducting sheet. Due to the non-conducting sheet, the field strength at near point, how much? Sigma by 2 epsilon. Okay. Now, so now to derive the field strength at the point P1, due to the left side of the non-conducting sheet, the field strength will be in this direction, that is sigma by 2 epsilon naught, equal to sigma by 2 epsilon naught. Okay. Due to the right side of the sheet, the field strength also in the same direction, that is also sigma by 2 epsilon naught. Okay. Due to the left side of the sheet, field strength E1. Due to the right side of the sheet, field strength E2. Both are both are acting in the same direction. So what is the resultant electric field strength at that point? E at P1 is equal to the field strength due to the left side of the sheet E1, field strength due to right side of the sheet or due to the charge residing on the right side of the sheet, equal to sigma by, that equal to sigma by 2 epsilon naught plus sigma by 2 epsilon naught. That gives sigma by epsilon naught. Similarly, if you consider this point P3, due to this charge, so this is, we are assuming a non-conducting sheet. Due to the charge on the right side of the sheet, the field strength is in this direction. Say this is E dash. Similarly, due to this charge, the field strength also in the same direction, E double dash. Therefore, now the net field strength at that point, EP2 equals to E dash plus E double dash equal to sigma by 2 epsilon naught plus sigma by 2 epsilon naught, that equal to sigma by epsilon naught, right? So what is the conclusion here? Electric field strength at a near point from the infinite conducting sheet, either left side or right side, is equal to sigma by epsilon naught, where sigma is the surface charge density, sigma equal to charge per unit area. So like this, simply we derive the field strength derivation, field strength formula for a infinite conducting sheet. Okay. So in the present lecture, the conclusions of the present discussions are the first, I started with the Gauss law. That is nothing but the total electric flux emerging out from any closed surface is equal to always 1 by epsilon naught times to the net charge linked with that closed surface. Mathematically, we write it as phi of E equal to closed integral E bar dot ds bar, that equal 1 by epsilon naught into the net charge linked with the closed surface. Then, after we covered the discussion of electric field strength due to the point charge, E equal 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q by r square, we derived this expression from the Gauss law. Then after, we covered the discussion of electric field strength due to a linear charge distribution. For that, we have taken the example uniformly charged infinite length wire. There, the electric field strength at the perpendicular distance r from the infinite length of a wire equal to, we got the expression lambda by 2 pi epsilon naught r. From this, it is very clear E inversely proportional to r. Therefore, from the wire at the distances r1 and r2, if we consider 2 points, the field strength ratio E1 by E2 equal R2 by R1. But whereas in the case of discrete point charge, the field strength E inversely proportional to R square, because there the formula equal 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q by R square. But in the case of uniformly charged infinite length wire, at the distance r, field strength varies inversely proportional to with the distance. Okay. Coming to the next concept, we covered this discussion. The field strength due to infinite non-conducting plane sheet. That is, we got the expression capital E equals sigma by 2 epsilon naught. So that is the field strength at the near point, either left side or right side of the infinite plane sheet, sigma by 2 epsilon naught. In that formula, sigma stands for surface charge density, epsilon naught permittivity of free space. If the sheet is positively charged, the direction of E bar is as shown in the figure, that is normal to the sheet, for the right side outside. If we consider the point left side in the same direction, perpendicular to the sheet left side. If it is negatively charged, since lines of force are always moving itself towards itself, the direction will be towards the plane sheet perpendicular at the point left side or right side. The last time we covered the discussion of electric field strength calculation due to infinite conducting sheet, that is equal to sigma A by epsilon. You don't confuse. You should observe that whether it is infinite non-conducting sheet or conducting sheet. In the case of infinite non-conducting sheet, we got the formula equal to sigma by epsilon naught. For the case infinite conducting sheet, equal to sigma by epsilon naught. Okay, so this is the combination. For that calculation, we assumed that to calculate the field strength at point P1 or P2, there we assumed that the combination of field strength due to two non-conducting sheets. So finally, we got the expression sigma by epsilon naught, where sigma surface charge density, that is charge per unit area. Okay. Regarding this lecture, the questions may be expected or derive the expression for electric field strength at some distance due to uniformly charged infinite length of a wire. One more question, by using the Gauss law, obtain an expression for electric field intensity at a point due to infinite sheet of charge. Third question, you may expect the field strength due to the uniformly charged uniformly infinite conducting sheet. Okay, so these three questions may be expected for semester examination point of view. Thank you.